Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you, and welcome back to another episode of early 2000s movie and makeup transformations. So if you're new to my channel, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Giovanna. I'm a Virgo. I'm so happy to have you here. Every Wednesday on my channel, at least for right now, I look back at an early 2000s movie and I transform myself into the main character of that movie. Of course, it's my channel, I'm the main character, and I also do a little movie recap for you. So today I am so excited to be talking about 13 Going on 30. 13 Going on 30 is a movie about growing up, friendship, and how getting everything you want isn't always what it's cracked up to be. The movie came out in 2004 and it stars Jennifer Garner as Jenna Rink and Mark Ruffalo as Maddie Flamhalf. So up until this morning when I rewatched the movie, I hadn't seen this movie in like 10 years, and can I just say I laughed so hard and cried so hard watching this movie. It is just such a perfect movie, and I struggle when I make these videos, you know, talking about movie reviews. It's a very popular thing to do on YouTube. I'm very aware this is not revolutionary of me to do, but typically when you watch videos of people talking about older movies, they're a bit critical, you know, they critique the plot holes, they talk about things that you may have missed when you watched it when you were younger, but I struggle so hard to do that with these early 2000s movies because they just bring me such nostalgia and pure joy, especially with 13 Going on 30. It's just such a relatable movie because I feel like all of us when we're younger are in such a rush to grow up. Even now, as a 26-year-old lady, I sometimes feel like I'm in a rush to get to that next stage of my life, and the movie 13 Going on 30 is a great reminder to be grateful for where you're at and for the people that you surround yourself with. And oh my god, I'm going to make myself cry before we even get into it. So why don't you don your butterfly necklaces and grab your Barbie dream house, because we're gonna get into 13 Going on 30 right now. Okay, if you see my hair moving around on the top of my head, try to just mind your business. I got half a fake ponytail and half of my real ponytail up here because I'm trying to give you an iconic Jenna Rink look. Can you guess what look I'm gonna be going for here today? It's Party Jenna, of course. She is so iconic. I knew when I was picking movies for this series that I had to do 13 Going on 30. Not only because it's one of my favorite early 2000s movies, but because of this look in particular. I mean, it's just so fun. So I've already got the hair down. I got my butterfly clips in. I couldn't get the Versace dress. I know you may be surprised. I don't have that sort of disposable income, but I am wearing a little green dress today, and I got my butterfly necklace and earrings on, so we are already off to a hot start. So if you're curious about any of the makeup that I'm using today, I will definitely link everything down below for you, but I'm mostly just going to be talking about the movie. I'll probably talk a little bit about the makeup here and there, but it's mostly about the movie. Okay, so the movie starts out and we find out that it's Jenna Rink's 13th birthday. You know, she's at school, it's picture day. They're establishing that Jenna is a little bit quirky and she's a little bit awkward, you know? I think we can all remember being incredibly awkward at 13, and if you weren't, well, that's great for you, but I personally was very awkward at 13, so I love this opening scene where they're showing her like go to get her school picture taken, and she's just very awkward. But we find out from her best friend Maddie that it is her 13th birthday today.
Hey Jenna.
Matt, please, no more pictures.
Come on, it's your 13th birthday, we gotta document.
And she gets to have a party. We also found out that Jenna invited this group of popular girls to her party who she like desperately wants to be in their group. She really wants to be popular. That's what we find out about Jenna right away. She is not happy being the awkward girl who only really has Maddie as a friend. She desperately wants to be a part of the popular group. So she invites these popular girls. They at first aren't gonna go because they say they have a project they have to work on, but then Jenna says she'll do their project for them. So they're like, oh, okay, cool, we'll go. So totally taking advantage of her. We hate to see that. So now we cut to Jenna at home and she is getting ready for her 13th birthday party. She's putting on a bunch of makeup. She's stuffing her bra, you know, stuff that we all did when we were 13. It's very cute. And then her mom comes in and starts embarrassing her, and Jenna starts talking about how she hates her life and she wants to be like the girls in the magazines that she has in her room.
I don't want to be beautiful in my own way. I want to look like these people.
She talks about how she wants to be 30, flirty, and thriving.
30, flirty, and thriving. Why the 30s are the best years of your life.
So they're just continuing to get across the point that Jenna is unhappy with the way that her life is going right now, and she just wants to be a pretty popular girl and look like the girls in her fashion magazines. So then we get to the actual party. Maddie comes over first, who happens to be her next door neighbor. He comes over and gives her his birthday present. He made her Jenna dream house because Jenna had been talking about how she wanted a Barbie dream house, so he makes one just for Jenna.
See, that's you in your bubble bath reading your favorite magazine. There's your bedroom with a massive stereo and every record ever made.
And he just like totally customizes it to make it like her perfect dream house, and she absolutely loves it. He also gives her wishing dust, which is gonna come in later, so remember that wishing dust. But then the doorbell rings and she knows that the popular girls are there, so she goes and shoves her Jenna dream house in the closet real quick, which doesn't make Maddie feel great. But anyway, so the popular girls are here now, and they did in fact bring the cute boys with them, but Maddie ends up putting on his music at the party. He's kind of embarrassing Jenna a little bit, even though she shouldn't be embarrassed because he's playing like really cool tunes and we love Maddie so much. But she gets a little embarrassed, and then the popular girls are like, oh, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. You go first, Jenna. And the head popular girl, whose name is Tom Tom, says like, oh, we're gonna send your crush in.
And guess who wants to go first? Who? Chris Grandy? No way.
And then they blindfold Jenna and they stick her in the closet, and she's like, oh my gosh, how exciting. And then as soon as they put Jenna in the closet, they leave, they ditch, they grab their project that Jenna did from them. Remember earlier, Jenna was gonna do their homework for them, so they grab their homework and they totally ditch the party and run away. And then Maddie ends up going into the closet, and Jenna doesn't realize who he is at first. She thinks that like he's her crush, so she's all excited. And then when she hears that it's Maddie, she rips off her blindfold and she's like, oh man, this sucks. I hate my life. This sucks. I hate everything. Wakes up and she's not in her house. She's in someone else's apartment, and she looks in the mirror and oh my gosh, she's Jennifer Garner. She's an adult lady, so it's pretty overwhelming for her when she sees herself, and so she has no idea where she is. She's totally freaking out. She's thrilled that she has boobs, but she's totally freaking out about everything else. Then she sees some mail on the coffee table that has her name on it and an address in New York City, so she realizes that she must live here in New York City. And then a random guy comes out of the bathroom, so she's totally freaking out. She doesn't know who this guy is. She has no idea what's happening or why she looks this way, so she runs out of the apartment. Alright, I'm gonna warn you, I'm about to go heavy-handed with the blush because Jenna goes really heavy-handed with her blush in this movie, and she does it like an 80s blush, which I absolutely love. But so now, Jenna's run out of the apartment, right? Because she's freaking out. She doesn't know who the guy is in there. She thinks she's in danger. So she runs out of the apartment, and when she gets downstairs, she runs into this blonde lady who's like telling her to get in the car. They have to go. She's running late, and so Jenna doesn't really want to go with her either, but she wants to get away from the guy, so she gets in the car with the blonde lady, and they head off to what happens to be Jenna's work. And Jenna's still freaking out. She doesn't know what's going on or anything, and so the blonde lady, who we find out's name is Lucy, who says that she's her best friend, and Lucy just thinks that Jenna's freaking out because they have a big presentation coming up, so she just tells her to remember that she is Jenna Rink.
Repeat after me. I am Jenna Rink, big-time magazine editor.
And now Jenna's like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm a big-time editor for Poise magazine. That's pretty cool. You know, she's still freaking out, but she's freaking out a little less because she's like, wow, that's like really cool. So they go inside, they go to their big meeting, and their boss, Richard, starts talking to them all about how they are in big competition with this magazine called Sparkle, and Sparkle keeps stealing their ideas. So every time Poise magazine will put out a magazine cover, Sparkle somehow has like all the same topics and everything, but regardless, Sparkle is selling way more copies than them, so they gotta do something to get the magazine doing better. And one of the things that they think is gonna help them is that they have a big party that night, and I guess that's like a big thing with magazines, is you have like parties to try to get people excited about the magazine. I don't know, I'm not involved in magazines, but so they have a big party that night. So Richard is like, you guys better make sure this party absolutely rocks because we need people to be excited about Poise magazine again. But Jenna is still like freaking out about the fact that she woke up in a 30-year-old's body today. So she asks her assistant to help her find Maddie. She gives her Maddie's old home phone address, but the assistant is able to find where Maddie lives, and she gives Jenna Maddie's new address, which is in the Village in New York City. So Jenna hops in a cab and goes off to find Maddie. So Jenna gets to Maddie's apartment, and oh my gosh, he's Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, so Maddie's all grown up now. She is very surprised to see him because remember, Maddie was kind of dorky looking in the beginning, but he grew up to be like a stone cold fox, so very exciting for all involved. But her main thing when she gets to Maddie's apartment is she's trying to tell him everything. She's like, Maddie, I was 13 yesterday, I was at my birthday party like an hour ago, and then suddenly I wake up in this place, I don't know where I am. She's freaking out to him, and he's, you know, not really getting it. He thinks she's on drugs. He doesn't really understand what's going on, but you know, he's trying to be supportive because he's a sweet guy. So he starts recapping to her like what's gone on throughout the years, because she doesn't understand why they aren't friends, like why he's not just talking to her like how they normally do. And he lets her know that unfortunately they're not really friends anymore and that they haven't talked since high school. He starts showing her all of these high school yearbooks and showing her that she ended up getting in with the popular crowd. She started hanging out with Tom Tom and her group of friends.
Was I a six chick?
Yeah, you're pretty much a leader.
Where's Tom Tom? I wonder what happened to her.
Last I heard, you guys are still pretty good friends. I think you actually even work together.
Lucy. Oh my god, yes. I was the prom queen. I went with Chris Grandy.
But unfortunately, Maddie was not involved in that. So even though Jenna is sad that it doesn't seem like Maddie's in her life anymore, she is happy that it does seem like she got everything she wanted, you know?
I can't believe it. I got everything I ever wanted.
Yeah, Jenna, you got it all. Congratulations.
So she ends up leaving Maddie's apartment and going back to her apartment to get ready for the big party for the magazine tonight. And she has the cutest makeover scene, which is great timing because I'm about to do my eyes right now. And one of the reasons I was most excited to do the movie 13 going on 30 is because in a lot of early 2000s movies, the makeup is very subtle. You know, the early 2000s was definitely known, at least in movies, for movie characters to just look like naturally flawless. But in this scene, Jenna really goes all out with like the 80s makeup. She goes in with the blue eyeshadow, she goes in with the blue eyeliner, she wears the hot pink blush, the hot pink lip. It's a thrilling makeover scene. I highly recommend you go watch the movie just for this scene. But they also have a little montage where she's picking out her outfits and everything, and she picks the iconic Versace dress. She's all dressed up, she's got her little butterfly clips in, but now it's off to the big party. And when Jenna first gets to the party, she's having a blast, you know, she's drinking for the first time ever, she's getting ripped on pina coladas, and she's having the time of her life. But then Lucy starts telling her that the party's actually a total bust because it's 11 o'clock at night and people are leaving, and that is not okay for a big magazine party. You do not want people to be leaving at 11. So the boss comes over and he's like, if we don't do something to save this party, the magazine is done for. I personally don't understand how those correlate, but you know what? Just suspend your disbelief for a second, because if Jenna doesn't make this party more fun, then the magazine is over. So what does she do? She makes the party more fun. And she does this by asking the DJ to play Thriller, which is so funny because towards the beginning of the movie, while Jenna's getting ready for her birthday party, she's also dancing to Thriller, you know, 1987, a big hit at the time. So she puts on Thriller and she starts dancing and she's awkward, you know, and everyone's just kind of looking around like, oh, what's going on here? But then Maddie shows up. I forgot to mention she invited him earlier. He didn't really seem like he was gonna come though, but Maddie ends up showing up, and as soon as she sees him, she's like, oh my gosh, Maddie, get over here, you gotta dance with me to Thriller. And he's like, no, 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 no. But she literally goes over and grabs him and gets him to start dancing with her, and after a while, everybody else is starting to feel it, and everyone else starts dancing along to Thriller, and it seems like the party is saved. Maddie's having a good time dancing with her, but then all of a sudden he has to go, so he leaves the party. But it's all good because the party ended up being a big success. So the day after the party, Jenna starts to try enjoying her new life a little bit. You know, up until now, she's been kind of very much like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I gotta figure out why I woke up in a 30-year-old's body. But on this day, she decides to enjoy herself a little bit. She goes on a big shopping spree. She's seeing the sights all around New York City. And then she ends up going out for drinks with Lucy. And after she comes out of the bar for drinks with Lucy, they run into Maddie and another woman, and they find out that Maddie actually has a fiance named Wendy. And so Wendy starts telling Jenna how she's a news anchor in Chicago and how she's trying to get Maddie to move with her to Chicago and that they're supposed to get married in 2 weeks. Now cut to the next next day, Jenna's back at work and they're having a meeting and talking about how basically the magazine is failing. I mentioned earlier that Sparkle magazine, a competing magazine, keeps stealing all of their headlines and ideas and everything, and they've gotten to a place where they either need to do a redesign or they're gonna have to pull the plug on the magazine. So everyone else is kind of freaking out about the redesign, but Jenna's really excited about it.
Let Sparkle have all our secondhand, stale, grody ideas. It's time for us to pull together and prove we have some poise left.
So now they're off to work on the redesign, and they have 2 weeks to save the magazine. 2 weeks to save the magazine, and 2 weeks until Mark Ruffalo gets married. I wonder if those things are gonna intersect at all. Okay, so now Jenna is getting ready to work on the rebrand for the magazine, and she's really excited about it. But as she starts working on the rebrand, she starts realizing what kind of person she's become at this magazine. She's going through some of the messages that her assistant gave her, and she kind of realized that she's pissed off a lot of people, she's fired a lot of people. So she's overall just realizing that this getting everything she wanted made her the type of person that she never wanted to be. So she's really upset finding out what kind of a sleazy person she's been. I mean, just all around like a bad person, nothing like she was when she was 13. So she goes to find Maddie again. And when she finds Maddie, she asks him why and when they stopped being friends. She doesn't understand how they stopped being friends when they were in high school.
I don't know, I can pretty much peg it to your 13th birthday party. Well, you came out of the closet, and I started to sing my birthday song to you, and then you picked up and threw at me the dream house that I spent 3 weeks building for you, and then you just stopped being my friend and never spoke to me again after that.
And hearing this is really devastating for Jenna because she already knew that she had become a sleazy person at the magazine, but it was really heartbreaking for her to hear how she had treated Maddie, who was and still is in her mind her best friend. So Jenna gets really sad and she ends up hopping a train and going back to New Jersey to visit her childhood home. And when she gets there, she goes down to the basement and she goes down to the exact place where she transformed into this 30-year-old woman. She's wishing again that she could just go back and be who she was before. She could just take everything back. But it does not work, and her parents end up coming home and she just kind of cries to her parents, talks about how much she missed them because she also found out from her assistant that apparently she doesn't go home to visit her parents anymore. So she's just really missing her family, and she goes and tells them how much she loves them and everything. And when Jenna returns to New York the next day, she brings a bunch of yearbooks and stuff with her. And with all these yearbooks and everything, she gets really inspired for the redesign of the magazine. She decides that she wants the magazine redesign to be class of 2004. She wants it to all kind of look like a high school yearbook. And not only does she want to do this class of 2004 project, but when she was looking at the yearbooks, seeing all of these photos that were taken by Matt, who is a photographer, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hire Matt. So she hires Matt to work on the redesign with her. And as they're working on the redesign, they're just having a freaking blast together. It's like they were when they were 13 again, you know? They're acting just like best friends again. They're having so much fun collaborating together. And when they finally finish the project, they decide to go on a little walk together. They go out and get razzles, which was their favorite treat to share together when they were 13. Oh my gosh, so cute. And then they end up going to a playground where they are gonna see who can fly the highest on the swing set. And when they get off the swing set, they kind of topple into each other and they kiss, which is excellent. So things are really seeming to be looking up for Jenna Rink here. You know, she's rekindling her relationship with Maddie. I mean, more than rekindling, because they weren't kissing before. Now they're kissing, which is very exciting. And she's doing really well with the magazine redesign. All right, so now Jenna's back at work. She's working on the redesign, getting the finishing touches together, and things are going really well. Meanwhile, back at Matt's apartment, his fiance, Wendy. Remember, Matt has a fiance. Even though we're thrilled he kissed Jenna, we're also pissed that he has a fiance. And so Wendy's back early and she's still talking about how excited she is for the wedding and everything, and how she thinks that they really need to commit to this move to Chicago. And now we flash back to the office again. They kind of go back and forth for a while. Honestly, it's a little hard to follow chronologically. I'm sorry. But so then they flash back to Jenna's office, and Lucy is giving her presentation on her idea for the redesign, and it sucks. Lucy has no original ideas. It's very boring. Nobody likes it. But when Jenna presents her idea for the redesign, everybody freaking loves it because Jenna's brilliant. It's a good idea. It's a big hit. The boss says, this is the idea we're showing to corporate tomorrow. So now Jenna goes home to get ready for her dinner date with Maddie, because I forgot to mention earlier, they said that they would go on a dinner date to celebrate when their project was picked for the redesign. But while Jenna is off getting ready for her date with Maddie, Maddie actually ends up showing up to Jenna's office, but Jenna isn't there. Lucy is sitting in her office, and when Matt gets there, she lies to him and says that Jenna ended up going in a different direction and isn't even going to be using his photos anymore. He's upset, he leaves. But Jenna doesn't know any of this has happened, so she still goes to Matt's apartment, but when she knocks on the door, his fiance answers and says that Matt went out to get his tux for their wedding, which is tomorrow. So she's all upset about that. She goes back to the office, and when she gets there, she runs into her boss, who says that the presentation is canceled because somebody sold all of their ideas to Sparkle, and Sparkle is already printing their class of 2004 magazine cover. And Lucy is the one who sold all of that stuff to Sparkle, so she's been giving Sparkle the information, and now Lucy's gonna go off and be an editor at Sparkle. So Jenna goes to confront her because she's mad, but when she confronts Lucy, Lucy ended up finding out that back when Jenna was a bad person, you know, before she was like 13-year-old stuck in a 30-year-old's body, Jenna was the one who was the mole who was selling all of the information to Sparkle. So that's really disappointing to Jenna. So everything's just tumbling down on Jenna right now. The boy that she likes is getting married. The redesign idea she had for the magazine has been sold. It's no longer gonna happen. And she found out that she was the terrible person who contributed to the downfall of the magazine that she works at. A little bit tougher of a situation than just wanting to play 7 Minutes in Heaven at your 13th birthday party, am I right? Yes, I am. So the next day, Jenna hops in a cab and goes back to New Jersey to Matt's childhood home, which is right next to hers, because that is where he's planning on getting married. So she's going to confront him before he gets married. So she goes to tell Matt that she's not the awful person that she was.
I am not the awful person that I know that I was. I have to believe that if you knew that, you wouldn't be getting ready to marry someone right now, unless someone were me.
And so Matt basically says, like, he's not going to deny that he doesn't have feelings for her, and he'll definitely always love her, and he has loved getting to be with her these last couple weeks.
But I have realized in these past few days, you can't just turn back time. We've gone down different paths for so long. I chose Wendy.
And he also tells Jenna that he's always loved her, and then he goes into his closet and he pulls out the broken dream house that he made for her that she threw at him, and he gives it back to her. And then we have the iconic scene where she takes the dream house and she's crying, and she goes and sits outside of her house because she got everything that she thought that she wanted, but her life still sucks and she didn't actually get any of the things that she wanted. So she's realizing that her priorities were all messed up, and that being a popular girl and having a good job and wearing cool outfits isn't really all it's cracked up to be, and all she really wants is to be with Maddie. So she's outside crying. I'm gonna make myself cry again. Don't cry again. We already cried so many times today. So she's outside crying over her little dream house, and remember that wishing dust that was on the dream house the first time? There's still wishing dust there, baby. A breeze hits, the wishing dust gets all up in Jenna's face, and suddenly she is transformed and taken back to the closet on her 13th birthday party. And oh my gosh, is she so excited. As soon as she opens her eyes and realizes where she is, she bursts out of the closet, runs over to Maddie, gives him a big hug, and gives him a big kiss on the mouth, and everything is going great. She's so happy to be 13 again. Lucy, who was Tom at the time, is still at the party. She calls her a biatch, rips up her homework, and tells her to get lost, which is awesome. And then we flash forward to Maddie and Jenna as adults again, and they actually do get married, and then they do move into their pink dream house together, and they live happily ever after, and it's just such a good ending. I'm not gonna cry again. But yeah, that is the end of the movie. Maddie and Jenna end up together. It wouldn't be a romantic comedy if the people who were meant to be together didn't get together in the end, and they do. And oh my gosh, I just love this movie so much. And not only is it the end of the movie, it's also the end of my early 2000s makeup transformation into Jenna Rink. What do you think? As with all of these early 2000s makeup transformations, I'm not trying to copy the look like exactly, because even though Jenna does a more colorful look than most early 2000s movies, she did not do eyeshadow this pigmented, but I like bold, bright eyeshadow, and I really wanted to play off the colors in her dress, but I stuck with the blue eyeshadow like she did. I also stuck with the super bold blush like she did, and with a sparkly hot pink lip like she did, and I love the way the look turned out. But yeah, that's the end of the movie. I would love to know what you guys think about 13 going on 30. Have you seen it before? If you haven't seen it before, please go watch it right now. It's available for free to watch on HBO Max if you have HBO Max, or you can rent it somewhere. Honestly, it's worth the rent. It's absolutely worth the watch. It is so good. So I hope you liked listening to me retell the movie, and I hope you liked seeing my little makeup transformation here. Definitely let me know what early 2000s movies you want me to transform into characters of next. I have a lot of ideas. You guys have given me so many great ideas, especially for October. Oh my gosh, we're gonna do so many spooky decoms. I cannot wait, but please let me know your early 2000s movie recommendations. And check out my description box for all of the makeup that I put on my face today. I'll put all the details down there. Also in my description box, I will include a bunch of Black Lives Matter resources to support the Asian American community, and resources to support the LGBTQ+ community. So please click on those links if you haven't yet. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next transformation. But I also post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so I'll see you really soon. Please subscribe. Bye!